this is where the story of my child's mother comes in. So, and I know I sound nervous telling this story. I just don't like telling this story because it is still traumatizing to me because this is a situation that actually broke up my family. And I actually don't like talking about it because I don't know. Like I go to therapy and I talk to my therapist about it and stuff like that, but that's still something that we don't really touch on. Like I don't know. So I don't really talk about it a lot.
Perfect. Yeah. Good morning, man. Yeah, I'm excited to hear a little bit about your story.
Yes, sir.
Introduce yourself and let us know who you are, and then yeah, just jump right in.
Well, my name is Tyler. I'm 25, just turned 25. Single father of a 2-year-old son. I don't really do much but work for my son. I'm a trailer mechanic and a tractor mechanic, so I work on semis. I'm hired in as a trailer mechanic, but I work on the tractors as well. I don't know how that happened, but thank God, because more
Right.
money.
Yeah.
But there's that. Say a little bit as far as me and my son. It started. I guess our relationship kind of started off a little bit harder, rougher on the end, but it ended on a good positive note for him. Because since I found out that I was having a kid, I always knew that I'm gonna be there for him no matter what happens. I'm gonna be there for him, and yeah, due to unfortunate events, me and his mother ended up splitting before he was born, and the split actually caused him to be born early. So.
Because she was going through some
Um,
stress.
yeah, she was stressing real bad, so it was like a month early. He ended up coming. He was actually due on
Oh
Christmas,
wow.
but he ended up coming on the 27th of November. So, so yeah. But yeah, starting off in the beginning, it was just rough because again the split, and then on top of him being born and everything like that, me and his mom really wasn't seeing eye to eye for a minute. So it was probably about a good, say like, I'm gonna say a good year before I was actually able to see my son. And the only way that was is through the
So she
courts.
didn't let you. You weren't there for the birth or anything.
So yeah, I was there for the
Oh, okay.
birth. Yeah, I was there for the birth. I was there when he went home. It's just that at the time, me and her were living together, and she ended up moving back in with her mom. And when she went into labor, she was with her mom. So when she gave birth, she went back up with her mom, and I was like, okay, well, when you guys are coming back home, and yeah, it was that. I was promised coming home, and yeah, never did.
Yeah, and you were pretty young. I mean, 20, you were around like 22, 23 when that happened.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's definitely
very
young to have kids. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's young, but me personally, so the area that I'm from, and just I wouldn't even say it was really the area because I'm quite sure a lot of areas in general can relate to this. But the teenage pregnancy in my high school was rampant. Um, it was. I remember the first girl that got pregnant was in 8th grade,
Isn't that
and ever
crazy?
since then, yeah.
Wow.
And I remember when that first happened, it was just baby after baby after baby after baby. Like she was having a baby, they were having kids, he was having a kid. Like the people were just popping out with kids, and yeah, I was, to put on the mild side, a wild one. So I just made a promise to myself that if I make it to 18 and I have a kid, that's a blessing.
Yeah.
But if I make it past 21 and still not have a kid, and if I have a kid pretty much past 21, I want to be able to have my own self set up to a way that no matter if it's expected or unexpected, we're good. So that's why, yeah, I say 22, 23 is a pretty young age, but for my personal goal, I feel like I made my goal because by the time I was 21, I was already, I don't know, I was pretty much my own adult. Not even pretty much my own adult, but I've been my own adult since I was about 17, 16, 17. I got emancipated from my mother. So when that happened, yeah, I was my own adult. So I had to figure things out for myself and, navigate through life just pretty much thrown out there. And that was a little traumatic experience for me. But that right there was a reason that I said, as long as I can make it to 21, I'm good. Even if I have a kid, expected or unexpected, what I expect of myself will be enough to sustain and raise my child. Because my expectations for myself, I'm not going to say I have high standards for myself, but I have the basic necessity standards for myself. Um, I say the high standards are just my goals. The goals that I have, I see those as high standards. But just the standards, the basic standards, like just make sure I have my own house, my own transportation, my own job, even or the ability to work if I don't have my own company or anything like that, or my own little business going. Have the ability to work, have the ability to manage money, um, just things like that. Um, I just wanted to make sure I had under my belt before I had a kid. So and I did, but life kind of happens. But I know I have the tools necessary to get back on track, which is what I did while having my kid. So yeah, I would say it's young, but I would say I I kind of try to prepare myself as best as possible for it.
Yeah. Now, what happened? Like, why did you guys get off track? Why did you guys break up? Or
So there was a girl that I was dealing with back in high school, and yes, when people hear that, they're like, "Oh snap, it's another girl." Yes, but hear me out, okay? Just hear me out. So there was another girl that I was friends with for a while back in high school. Um, Me and her cousin are actually best friends. Like till this day, we pretty much grew up together, and we were best friends. And then I ran into her through him. So we became friends and everything like that for I say like what ninth grade to the whole high school year was friends. And we tried to make it work, but it never did because she lived in one town, I lived in another town, didn't have transportation, so we just remained friends. But when we got older, things changed. So we actually ended up getting together for like a few months. Didn't work out, but we decided to remain friends. Now, this is where the story of my child's mother comes in. So, and I know I sound nervous telling this story. I just don't like telling this story because it is still traumatizing to me because this is a situation that actually broke up my family. And I actually don't like talking about it because I don't know. Like I go to therapy and I talk to my therapist about it and stuff like that, but that's still something that we don't really touch on. Like I don't know, so I don't really talk about it a lot. But but yeah. So one day, sitting in the house playing Call of Duty. My lady at the time, she's about 8 months pregnant, playing Call of Duty with the boys and everything like that. And she has my phone. She's going on my phone and everything like that. And apparently, she's seen some messages. And she's like, "What the everything like that?" And I'm like, "Oh snap!" Unplug my ear jack so the boys can't hear. And it's kind of a joke that we play on to this day. Like anytime I see them playing Call of Duty, I'm like, I can't hop back on that game. They're like, "Yeah, last time you was on that game, bro, all we heard was what the boom." And next thing you know, we sitting there trying to cover you, and you just steady getting killed. I'm like, "Yeah, I know it was a rough night that night," but so yeah, that happened, and the conversation that she saw and what it consisted of, I would say I understand why she made the decision that she made as far as wanting to remove herself from me. So the conversation consisted of this. The friend had a girlfriend at the time. So she's bisexual. So she had her own girlfriend, her own relationship, and everything like that for a while. They've been going strong and everything like that. I was in my relationship and everything like that. So we literally see each other as just friends. So we ended up, just having a random conversation one day. Like she just messaged me, like, "Hey, what's going on? Just seeing how you doing and things like that." I was like, "Oh, chilling. Just excited for the baby. Just waiting for him to get here." She's asking questions about him and things like that. I'm asking, like, just answering, asking questions how she's going. And then at some point, this is where I know I went wrong. So whoever's listening, don't judge me. I already know this. I've beat myself up over it, and I made peace with it. But at some point, the conversation turned sexual. But it wasn't sexual about me and the friend. It was sexual about me and our respective partners. Even though that's still wrong, it was still a conversation that still shouldn't have been had because of, we're in relationships. You don't talk about stuff like that. That's private between me and my partner. That's private between me, you and your partner. But at the time, like, again, I met her through my boy Cameron. So I already see her as one of the boys. Like, I've known you since high school. We've grown up as the boys. Yeah, we tried to date outside of high school, but that was only for a few months. It didn't work out for the reason it didn't work out. And we still chose to remain friends all these years. So, yeah, although we do have dating history briefly, I still see more of the friendship part of it more than the dating part. But those are just excuses, really. At the end of the day, the conversation shouldn't have been had. No matter, I can't remember who started the conversation, how the conversation even started towards that to go that way. But either way it goes, once I realized it was going that way, it's something I should have shut down. But yeah, she saw the messages and everything like that, and it was just too much for her. So that's when she decided to leave the next day and go up to her mom's house just to cool down and everything like that. She stressed out. Well, I still have to get back and forth to work. So, one day I'm at work and she called. She's like, "Yeah, my water broke." And this was like literally 3 days later, like 3 days after the argument we had, the argument and everything like that, and the situation. She called. She's like, "Yeah, my water just broke." I'm like, "Okay, so are you coming down?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm on the way down." I'm like, "All right, that's fine." So I meet her at the hospital. But when I got there, her mother was there as well, and she had told her mother about what happened. So it made the stay a little bit uncomfortable for me, but her mother wasn't making it uncomfortable. Like her mother wasn't intentionally going on her way to make it uncomfortable. It was the fact that,
You
hey,
knew, she knew,
did
and
my
everyone knew. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, one of those situations. But even then, her mother, like, she still talked to me, she still interacted, she still engaged and everything like that. And I was just in a place where I was there, but I wasn't there. Because for the last 3 days, my family's been out of the house, and like, over a stupid, silly decision that I made. That personally, me, I feel like at the time, like, yes, we definitely could have sat down and talked about the situation, because that's the thing. I never got a chance to explain like how the conversation even came about, even though she saw the conversation for herself. But I never got to explain, like, just my side, and like how at least apologize and just redeem yourself, the chance for redemption.
And still to this day,
Um,
you haven't been able to because you take. It seems like you're taking responsibility for it and everything. It's, you know what I mean. Like she still doesn't know that you take responsibility for it now.
Oh no, she knows I take full responsibility for it. Yeah, when it comes to this situation, that's something that we've talked, not kind of, but we've actually sat down in depth and talked about. And I just told her, like, yeah, like, at the time, I wish you would have gave me this opportunity, because this opportunity that you're giving me now could have kept our family together.
Right.
Like, I understand why you made the decision that you made in wanting to leave. In that moment, you hurt, you disgust it, you feel whatever you're feeling. You feel like you have to be away from me, and I completely get that, because if I was in your shoes and if I'm feeling that way, that's what I'm gonna do. And I would like the person who made me feel that way to respect that. So I'm gonna respect that about you. Um, but yeah, I was like, I feel like if you'd have gave me the time in the moment, in the gave me the time in the moment to explain, and not just explain, but just express how sorry I was, and just let you know, like, hey, this is literally just a one-time mistake. You've never seen me do nothing like this. I've never gave you signs, signals that I've ever been interested in anybody else. This is a literally just having a stupid conversation. Was not really thinking about it, because again, although yes, this is a female, in my mind, again, the friendship that we've had outweighs the relationship that we've had. So that's kind of how I think about it. And then on top of that, like, we've talked about things like this before, but just wasn't thinking.
Right.
So
It's tough when you have that outside person see that because they don't understand the relationship that you have. So it's like the fuck's going on. You know what I mean? So
mhm. Yep. So that was that situation. That led to my son, me having time, me her taking my son away from me for that long time. And I don't like saying it like that, because it makes it seem like a spiteful thing, or anytime somebody hears that, you're thinking of it in a like a, oh, that's my baby, you're like, in a bad way. But like, maybe it is in a bad way, but at the end of the day, that's what she did. She took my son away from me due to the fact of what she found. um and yeah, that caused a whole nother issue within me.
yeah, did you guys have to go to court at all, or did you guys settle things? Just you and her eventually talked it out and got on the same page.
um No, I had to take her to court.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is why, I don't know. It's just, I said I want to just kind of talk to some dads who feel like that there's really nothing that they can do when it comes to this child support, child custody, whatever you're going through with your child. And I'm gonna tell you the secret to this. I'm gonna tell you the secret to make sure that this always works. You have to be a dad who really mean what you say. So that means when you go before the courts and you say, I want custody of my child, you have to prove that you're able to take care of your child. You have to prove, like, and I'm quite sure everybody knows this, but like, you got to really mean what you say. Um, and I know from my experience, when we went to court, um, as I said, so the whole court process came about like this. My son was born in November. By the time Christmas came around, She kept promising like, yeah, I'm gonna bring him down. Yeah, I'm gonna bring him down. Yeah, I'm gonna bring him down.
How far away do you guys live from each other?
About an hour and a half. Yeah. So she, she kept saying, I'm gonna bring him down to see you. I'm gonna bring him down to see you. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. So this is from when he's born and she left the hospital up until the Christmas time. She kept making these promises and not coming through with him. So I'm like, okay. Well, at this point, it's kind of getting annoying and it's really kind of like I don't know, it's just mentally messing with me. Like I want to see my kid. I want to see how he's doing. I want to hold my son. I want to be there for him. When she did that, after the final time she did that, I believe it was either Christmas or my birthday. I can't remember. I remember it was a major, not a major day, but an important day. I can't remember which holiday. It was either Christmas, New Year's, or my birthday. I can't remember which one. But anytime within that frame period, there was one time I asked her if she can let me see him, and she literally told me go file for father's rights, and she sent a screenshot of me pretty much venting what my frustrations and me not being able to see my son, because I use my Facebook literally mostly for shit posting, not really for like like personal really things. But I do have people on there that I if I want to get personal, I can get personal because I know the people that's on my page. Um, and So I was venting. I really was. And I wasn't being disrespectful, wasn't calling her name, nothing like that. I was really just stating facts on what is true, as if somebody was to come back and question me on it, I have receipts. So yes, I'm venting, I'm frustrated, but nothing I'm saying is wrong. You haven't let me see my son since he's been at the hospital. I, I asked you 3 or 4 times to see him from since he's been out up until this point. I have receipts for every time I've asked you. Like this is getting frustrating, and now you told me so she screenshotted that, sent it to me. Go file for father's rights. And at this point, me and her we weren't cool. We kept arguing, like we were still back and forth. It was still heated between us, which is what really prompted her to say go file for father's rights because we were into it so bad. So I'm like, okay, um, one of two things could happen. And I was like, I don't know, because like in situations like that, well, that's the first situation I've ever been in involving my son, really. But I just know I'm a hothead, and sometimes like if somebody when they go low, I go lower. In the words of Eric Mays, rest in peace. But but yeah, like I can have that personality. I can be that person. If you want to be like that, I can be like that. And so as soon as she said that, I found myself in my car, literally going like 120 down the highway, speeding all the way up to her house, an hour and a half away. Mind you, to get to her house, you have to go through, I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but called sundown towns. You from the East Coast?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So I don't know when this stopped, but I know back in the day when segregation and racism was one of those rampant things that were pretty much supported by government officials and things like that, there were certain towns called sundown towns, meaning if you were black, don't get caught in that town when the sun go
That's
down.
fucking crazy.
Those, yeah, and we still have them to this day. Trust me, where area I'm from, we have them, and that's why I say so. It's like nighttime. I don't have my license. Like everything could be going wrong. But I'm just heated because I'm like, you really gonna sit up here and say go file for father's rights after? I understand you mad at the situation that happened between us, but that has nothing to do with my ability as a father, and that's what was frustrating me. And I kept telling her that. That's why I say I understand why you did what you did. If you felt the need to separate yourself from me, I have no choice but to respect that. But what I did to you has nothing to do with my son. My son was going to be here regardless if that happened or not. So I understand you want to distance yourself from me, but still allow me to be a father. Especially if I'm asking you. If I'm asking you, let me see my son, and you're turning around and ask me for money for diapers and things like that.
Right. And it's tough too cuz like especially being, 23, 24 at the time, it's so easy to walk away. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you don't get too many dads who are, well, you might, but you don't hear about it. Too many dads being like, "No, I want to be in my son's life like or my daughter's life and, I want to be there." So, in a sense, she's lucky that you do want to be there.
Like, that's what I was trying to explain to her. Like, you got to understand, you're with me. I don't mean to toot my own horn or nothing like that, but yeah, you're blessed. When it comes to me as your child's father, you're blessed. I'm like, I'm not a miss to make it happen. I'm a mister. We gonna find a way. Like, and that's what I am. Like, I'm one of them. Like, we gonna find a way. I can't make it happen right now. What they say, God may not come when you want him, but he always on time. I'm one of them people. Might not come when you need me, but I promise you I will come through for you. When you want me to, but I will come through for you when you need me. But yeah, like situations like that though. So I just really had to, just really think about that. As far as like, just her situation when it comes to me as being a dad, like, like, yes, I want to be there for my son and you're not allowing me to, most people would be like, you know what, you got it, and leave it alone, let it go. Um, but again, back to the story. So I was finding myself speeding on the way up there, and I was like, court. I was like, if she wants to play petty and tell me go file for father's rights, I literally should just go do that. Because guess what? If I start it, it looks a lot better. It looks like I actually want to be in my kid's life. So I was like, you know what? Got off the highway, went home, relaxed, and went to the courthouse the next day, put the petition in and everything like that. And I started it. I filed for father's rights, just like she told me
And
to.
now, and was she expecting that? Because usually it's a move.
No.
Exactly. So the same shit happened to
Yes.
me, but it's like they'll tell you to go do it, and then when you do it, they get all pissed off.
Yeah, she was upset, but it wasn't just that. So as I said, you go low, I go lower, right? It wasn't just the petition for father's rights she got. She also got a small claims lawsuit from me for $10,000 for emotional distress.
So you took her to court for emotional distress. You won the case.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, because she wasn't letting you see your son. Got
Yeah, I
it.
don't know
Okay.
how it works in other states and
Got it.
everything like that, but yeah, the fact. So when I say me not seeing my son for a year of his life, when I say that mentally, physically, emotionally broke
Oh,
me,
absolutely.
like I mean, it broke me, like to the point. I don't know if this is too much, but yeah, like I was contemplating suicide at one point because I felt like a failure of a man who couldn't keep his who couldn't keep his family together. So what should I really be here for if I've always grown up with the notion that I'm going to take care of my family? I felt worthless. I felt useless. Like I wasn't focusing at work. I wasn't being able to keep up with my projects, my car, my house. My had like I got 3 or 4 fish tanks around here. All of them died. My plants, like when I died inside, everything around me died. That's how bad it was. And yeah, I had to seek some help. I had to go to a mental institution for a bit. I was institutionalized for a little bit, or a psych ward. I don't want to say mental institution, a psych ward for like a 2 week stay, whatever they call it. Um, I had to go to that for a bit. The therapy, had to go through the therapy, and all this is stuff that I did voluntarily because as bad as I wanted to take myself up out of this shit, I knew I had a bigger purpose. So it's like the devil is really talking to you, blasting music in your ear, but God is that soft tune that's telling you you're going to be all right. So I really just kind of had to listen to the soft tune and drown the other BS out. And yeah, like I don't know, like one night I just found myself walking down the street. I live right down the street from the hospital. So, like when I say I'm looking at the hospital right now as I turn my head, I am literally looking at the hospital sign right now as I turn my head. Like it's right there. But I found myself walking in the opposite direction, and I was just like one of those nights. It was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, couldn't sleep, and something just possessed me. Just get up and just start walking. And I just started walking, and I found myself in front of the hospital, and I'm like, I'm not ready yet. So I went back home and everything like that, and then my mom and everything like that. Eventually, my mom and my sister ended up finding out, and they ended up forcing me to go. The police were like, because they called the police about it and everything like that, and the police were like, well, it's either you voluntarily go, or we have to force you to go, because at this point you've told us that you're a risk to yourself, and we can't just let you go knowing that you're a risk to yourself. It's nothing that we want to do, but it's just what we have to do. So I was like, all right, I'll do it voluntarily. So I ended up doing that, got out. I'm not gonna say I even felt better. I just had a break from life, like literally like a 2 week break from life. So that was cool for right there. I'm not gonna lie, that was cool. But when I got out, lost my job, rent building up, bills still coming in, all this stuff. I'm still stressed out, and losing friends, stuff like that. Not saying losing friends, but like the friendships that I had, like we're just growing apart. We're still friends, we just growing apart since that time of life where you grow apart, find your own way. So things like that happening, and I ended up going to this group called Fathers. and Family Support Center, and that was voluntary. That's part of me that was voluntary. I had found out about it through, I think, my mom or something like that, and I ended up going. It's like a year program, but it's a 6 week in class course that you like sit in class with other dads who are going through similar things, and you guys just talk. You have your sessions and everything like that, and it was really therapeutic. And there was an actual therapist there that helped us out and talked to us and things like that. And I took advantage of his services for the remainder of the year that we had after the 6 weeks in class. I took advantage of his services, and that helped me out a lot. Like just being with the other fathers and stuff like that, and just having that get up and go drive to do things. That really did help out a lot. After I went to that, is when she had said the father's rights thing. So then I was like, okay, well, you know what? We're going to go to court. Ended up going to court. Um, I filed for joint custody when I really could have went for full custody, but again, I didn't want to be petty, like that kind of petty, because if I was that kind of petty, it wouldn't do nothing but hurt my son in the end. Um, I feel like at the end of the day, a kid still needs both parents, no matter what happens between them. So just because she hit me with that, I'm not going to hit her with that, because at the end of the day, what she did was damaging to my son, and I'm not going to return that same damage trying to hurt her. So I was like, I'm gonna file for joint custody. File for joint custody. Um, and as I said, I hit her with the lawsuit as well because of the emotional distress, and with me having to go through the therapy and the me feeling like suicidal and just all the stuff I had went through before that moment. Yeah, I took her to court for emotional distress, and I had proof of everything. And the way I won, first of all, pretty much, I feel like I would have won regardless, because as I said, what I did in our relationship has nothing to do with me as a father. There are shitty husbands and great fathers.
Right.
We see it every day. This is just how it is. Like, me as a partner doesn't define me as a father. Um, and I feel like even so, this is how I won the case. I won it by default because she didn't take it serious.
Oh wow.
And I kept telling her, and I'm like, you might want to take this serious. I'm like, that came in with I'm like, you're answering the 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 um the custody stuff, but you're not answering the small claim stuff. I'm like, okay, when it goes through, understand it's done unless I tell them not to do it. And so she called my bluff, and it went through. And I won a settlement for the 10,000, the max amount you can take for small claims. I won it, and she was heated at that time. She's like, I'm not even working, and now I can't even get a job because if I do, they're going to garnish my wages and X, Y, and Z, yada yada yada. And I was like, that's not my problem. I'm like, that's not my problem. At this time, like, yeah, I was being petty. I'm not gonna lie, but at the end of the day, I was like, that's not my problem, for the simple fact that when I told you, when the sheriff came and served you, that was your warning. When I told you through text, hey, you might want to show up to court for these small claims because I'm not kidding on that, you laughed it off. When they sent you another summons, because I had to reschedule like 3 or 4 times because you wasn't showing up. That's how I won by default. I'm like, when they sent you all those were your warnings. So don't expect sympathy from me right now, because I tried to tell you out of my own mouth. This ain't nothing to joke with.
Now, did she try to get back at you for like child support or anything like that? Yeah, of
Yeah, so she
course.
tried to do that. Yeah, she tried to do that through the petition that I started. And she was like, well, can we at least do child support or something like that? And the judge kind of looked at her like, why would you do child support? He's literally asking for 50-50. Like, it makes no sense to do child support. And so the judge, she was like, "Well, I just want to see how much child support would be, or something like that." Something ended up happening where the judge ended up crushing the numbers, and it came out to be that if child support was to be enacted, I would end up having to pay her 50 cents, and she had to pay me $5.
Oh no way.
Yeah, so
Wow.
the judge really looked at her like, "There, I'm not." No, he's asking for 50-50. He's not asking for full custody. And if he was to be asking for full custody, ma'am, you'd kind of be in a more messed up position than you think. For the simple fact of, and I don't mean to air nobody's business out, but this is just what was stated. You're not working. You don't have your own address or your own residence, and you don't have your own reliable means of transportation. The three basic necessity things that I said I was worrying about, my standards that I was worried about before I hit 21 to make sure I could take care of my kids, those things I had. I had since I was 16, yes, I was 16, 17. I can say 16, 17 because I can't remember exactly when. But since I was emancipated, I had rental history. So that's from 16 to like 20 something. That's some years for a 20-some-year-old. You know, most people don't start renting until they're like 21, 22.
Right.
So for me to have it on my history, that's good. Then on top of that, I've been working since I was 16, and then on top of that, the jobs that I have worked were like career based jobs. I've always been mechanics. I work like, as I said, the tractor trailers and the diesel and the semis and everything like that. That's what I do. So seeing that type of
Yeah,
stuff,
showing consistency and yeah.
yeah. So it was more looking good on my end than her end. So the judge kind of advised her. He was like, you know, you might want to take the 50-50 and, and just go to mediation.
How did they do 50-50 with a hour and a half apart? Like obviously because when the kid gets older with school and stuff.
Yeah, so the mediation, so in Illinois, the way they do it, they call it, I'm quite sure other places do it too, but they call it parenting time now for some reason. And the way they break it up is, so we both are technically custodial parents. We both have custody of our kid, joint 50-50, but only one of us is a residential parent, which is me. So technically, my son lives with me, his address is with me, anything like that is here.
Oh.
So if he was to go to school, it would be with
Oh,
me.
because she doesn't have an address. It's her mom's house. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
at the time. And that was something that when she was trying to go for custody, that I made sure I stressed to myself. I'm like, anything could happen. Like, God forbid, but anything could happen. I'm like, you can come home one night, you and your mom get into it, y'all not seeing eye to eye, now you gotta find somewhere to go. Now my son's bouncing around and everything like that, or like, I don't know, just anything. Like if you are not self sufficient on your own, bottom line, when you're dependent on the grace of others, you have to be at their mercy. Anything could happen. Not like I've been in places where I literally have done nothing wrong. I clean up after myself. I take care of whatever I can take care of, and the person still come to me and say, "Hey, I just want you to, just find somewhere else to go." It ain't nothing personal. They just like their own space. I just kind of overstay my welcome. Anything can happen. We're at the mercy of other people. So, that's kind of something I stress, which is why I was able to win the residential part. But the way it kind of works with us, so we went to mediation and everything. Like, oh, that's what it was. I'm sorry. It wasn't. The judge handled the child support and stuff, everything like that. But when it came down to the parenting stuff, we went to a mediator. That's what it was. So it's weird. I wanted to make sure I clarified that. So it was a mediator that was helping us out, and the mediator broke it up into something called a 2-2-5. Yeah, 2-2-5. So pretty much, I get 2 days, she gets 2 days. And on the weekends, we switch, and we be able to keep it for 5 days like that. So in the beginning, that really it was a struggle for both of us because I ended up losing my car, and so I was relying on the grace and the mercy of my mom and everything like that whenever she could do it. So or rise wherever I could. So I'm like, in the beginning, the 2-2-5 stuff was hard for me, and it was hard for her because an hour and a half drive trying to get down there and pick up our kids a lot on the car, on us, pockets, everything. So um over time, you know well, not overtime. There was a specific time when it started changing. But over time it got down to the point where I just told her like, hey, it's either we either do week on, week off, or we meet halfway. I prefer to do it like that. I understand because that's what the mediator told us. She said, whatever we have set for today, other than the residential part, everything is optional up to y'all. You guys don't have to do the 2-2-5. You don't want to. This is just a bottom line underlaying. If anything happens, you have to abide by this at bare minimum. So, that was that and everything like that. And so yeah, that happened, and it was still rough because throughout the whole court situation, it was bitter, arguing, stupid stuff, and even after the court situation, it was still bitter, still arguing and everything like that. And it was harder for me because at the time, like I'm not gonna say right after she broke up with me, but I say like hmm, she ended up getting a boyfriend probably like 3 or 4 months after me and her split. So this guy was pretty much in my son's life while I wasn't. So that was kind of a problem for me too. So, and then on top of that, me and him, anytime me and her get into it, he wants to jump in, and now me and him are into it and things like that. And I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna lie to you. Some people really are crazy. So when it comes to baby mama, baby daddy drama, it's best for you to stay out of it because you might be because I'm near the St. Louis area. You hear about baby daddies killing baby mamas every day. You hear about men getting into it with other baby daddies and getting shot, getting killed. This, like, you hear, like, it is literally a normal everyday thing. So I told him, I was like, you don't know me. It's best to just leave this between me and her. And I say, and I'm saying that because, not saying I'm gonna hurt you in that type of way or nothing like that, but I'm saying from just you don't know me, so it's best to just whatever she has going on as far as baby mama, baby daddy drama, let her deal with it. That is between me and her. And I understand you trying to stick up for your woman. That's what I told him. I admire that you trying to stick up for your woman, but you don't know me, and I hear about this. We hear about it in our area every day. This is not a smart decision to be making.
Yeah, when it comes with the kids too, it's just like
Yeah.
it's yeah, the best thing to do as like a boyfriend or something is just step back and let it's not his business. So
Yeah, like literally, that's one thing with my lady, because she with her child's father, I had to learn that too, especially in the very not even learn that, but that's just the rule I had in the beginning based off of my own experience with my child's mother's boyfriend. When her child's fathers would get into it, you can come and vent to
of
me.
course, yeah.
I can talk to you about it. I can give you consolation. But as far as me jumping in, until he starts disrespecting you on that type of level, I have to stay out of it because he don't know what I'm capable of. I don't know what he's capable of, and I don't want to. I want my son to have a father, and I would like for your daughter to have a father. That's kind of how I looked at it for a while. Um, but yeah, so it got to the point where all of us were getting into it so much where I just had to like sit him down and just tell him like I'm done with the arguing. But yeah,
So how's it going now with you and her? You guys are on good terms?
yeah, we're actually really good friends. It's weird because it kind of causes struggle with my dating life now with my girlfriend that I have now because of the type of co-parenting relationship that me and my child's mother have. Because as I said, we've been through a lot. We have been through that year without my son and the stuff that we had went through. It was a lot for us. It was very taxing. But it got down to a point, as I said, where I just threw up my white flag to both her and her boyfriend. There was one day we were meeting for an exchange and everything like that, and I just told him, like, I talked to her. I said, "Yo, I need to talk to both of y'all," and I just told him this bullshit that we're doing. I'm done with it. I'm done with the arguing. I'm done with the back and forth. I'm done with the nitpicking, the petty BS, the little small stuff, the tit for tats we're doing. I'm done with it. I'm like, because at the end of the day, what we're doing is doing nothing but hurting Rio, my boy. That's it. That's all it's hurting. So I'm waving my white flag if y'all waving y'all's. Even if y'all don't wave y'all white flag, if y'all still come to me with that type of energy, I'm ignoring it because at the end of the day, the only thing I'm here to do is raise my son. I don't want you back. I don't want your woman. Y'all are happily together. I am fine on my own, perfectly on my own, raising my son. I'm cool. Only thing that me and you need to have is a co-parenting relationship and a healthy co-parenting relationship because I feel like you don't want to argue, you don't want this to be hard, you're just still hurt for whatever reason. And then on top of that, the lawsuit that I had took out against her, the small claims, yeah, I ended up dropping that. So I'm like, you're not working. And then on top of that, you're finna have full, this is after the custody and everything like that was finalized. I ended up dropping the suit because I'm like, me having a $10,000 suit out on you and you got to raise my son, that ain't finna do nothing but make it hard for you to raise my son. Ain't no point in it. I was just being petty. Pretty much. So once I dropped the suit and everything like that, which allowed her to start working and get a job and everything like that comfortably. So, but yeah, I told her, I'm like, I'm not here to make y'all life hard, make it difficult. I'm here to raise my son. That's it. Bottom line. I'm not here to try to use him to get back with you. I'm not here to use him as a pawn against you. To nothing of the BS baby mama, baby daddy bullshit that you see every day other people going through. I'm not with that.
Yeah. Now are they still together?
Yeah,
And you have a new girl
that
now?
I'm not even gonna lie. I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know if they're still together because again, I keep my life separately and private from them. The only thing that we really converse about is my son. And I made it that way for a reason because like at first we would conversate like about things that were going on, but when I got into my relationship, it just made my partner uncomfortable. So just for respecting my partner, and that even caused a lot of turmoil and trauma. I'm not turmoil and trauma, but a lot of turmoil between me and my partner. Um, but yeah, it just got down to the minimum of just checking on my son or just whatever my son needs. That's what we're gonna do. Um,
Yeah, it's good that you resolved that within only a couple of years because some dads on here are going through it. They're like 13, 14 years in. And it's just like, God damn, like it's only going to end when they're 18, when the kids are 18.
yeah. Yeah,
So,
and my advice to them, I don't know, 'cause trust me, I understand. There's some crazy, bro. There's some crazy baby mamas out here. I understand. They running my family. I get it. Like I understand. But honestly, when it comes to like going through this for 13, 14 years, I'm gonna be honest with you. For the ones who feel like to give up, I can understand why you feel that way. But one thing I have to say is just don't, because when the 18th year hits, your child will see that parent for who they are, if they haven't already. Because that's kind of what happened to me. I was able to see my father for who he was when I got older, and it brought a lot of clarity and a lot of peace to my life. But if you're out there fighting this long struggle, one piece of advice I would say is try to wave your white flag. Try to have that same conversation with them that I had with my child's mother. Because trust me, when I say we were into it, like we've been doing this for 13, 14 years, we were into it like it was bad. So I'm not saying I don't like. I can relate just on a short term basis because I nipped it in the bud to make sure it was short term. I didn't want this to go on for no 13, 14 years. But if it involves you putting your pride to the side, putting your ego to the side, whatever you need to do in order you there for them babies, do that. Do it. Like, have the talk with the other parent. Look, look, Sharonda, I understand we've been going at it for the last 15 years, but I'm tired. I'm done. I just want to see my kid. That's it. I want to be able to take them out, do things with them, spend time with them, enjoy life with my kids. That's it. I don't care what you got going on over there. If you need help with our kids, by all means, please reach out to me and I will see what I can do. Because at the end of the day, Sharonda, me and you made this kid, not you and him or you and whoever, or just you by yourself. I want to be active. I want to be present. I want to be here. And as far as help ain't just child support. I want people to know that too. Help is not just child support. There has been times where I've had to keep my son extra long because his mother wasn't able to do at the time. Not a problem. That's help. There's times where she's had to keep him longer because I was falling behind things down here and I wasn't able to sustain him down here. Help is help.
yeah, as long as you guys can be on the same page, that's the best thing.
Yes, but if you're dealing with one of those child's mothers who just trying to use your kid as a pawn and everything like that, I mean, as again, I hate to say it, but you got to let the colors will play out. The colors, and it don't happen in every case. It doesn't, but the colors will play out. The colors will paint themselves, and your child will just they will see. And whenever they get older, have that start questioning life. This is the thing about it. We're humans. We question. It's in our nature. We're going to question everything around us. We're going to judge everything around us. It's what we're supposed to do in order to survive. So whenever that time comes in that child's life, I'm like, man, like, why wasn't my dad ever there? Either they're going to reach out to you themselves, they're going to ask their parents about the other parent about it, the mom about it, everything like that. But at the end of the day, they're going to find out the answer for themselves, just like I had to. I found out the answer after having my kid. I went 20 something years without really understanding why my dad wasn't in my life. And it wasn't until I had my kid and I sat down with my kid in front of my dad and he just tried to give me a whole bunch of BS on why he couldn't be in my life, which I feel like is BS. But it might be his actual story. I can't really say that. That might be his life story that he knows from his perspective. But from my point of view, it's BS because I feel like ain't no way I'm not gonna be there for my kids. That's truly what I want to do. Like there ain't, and then I got God on my side. So if I got God on my side, and this is what I really want, ain't nothing stopping me. Like ain't nothing stopping me. I want my kid. I'm going to get my kid, and I feel like that's what a lot of fathers need to keep in focus. And if it's a lot of BS you're going through, go through it, feel it, and understand. I know they tell females this a lot, but I'm gonna tell the fellas this too. You are entitled to feel what you feel. If you gotta cry it out, cry it out. If you gotta punch it out, Don't punch a wall. Don't punch a person. Go punch something that don't matter or whatever. If you gotta build something, build something. If you gotta break something, break something. If you gotta just sit with yourself for a minute, sit with yourself. I don't care what it is you got to do, but whatever you're feeling, you are entitled to feel it. If you're feeling pissed off, you're entitled to feel pissed off. If you're feeling betrayed, you're entitled to feel betrayed. Because at the end of the day, only you know why you feel that way, and only you understand why you do. You can sit there and try to explain it and express it to whoever you want to, but at the end of the day, only you know why you feel the way you do. But also with feeling those feelings, don't let them consume you. Just feel them, process them, and figure out the best way to go about it when it comes to these kids. Because at the end of the day, this is what it's all about. Our kids, our legacy, what we trying to leave behind, like, just things like that. Like my granddad was such a strong man that, I don't even realize his legacy is left behind in me until one of the older generation come and say, you remind me of just your granddad, just the way things like that. But yeah, that's what it's all about, the kids. But definitely, you're entitled to feel what you feel. Whatever process you at when it comes to your child custody or wherever you are right now in your battle, understand it is okay to feel what you're feeling. I promise it's okay.
Yeah, no, that's great advice, and it's a great way to end it too. And I think the fathers groups and being able to talk to other dads who are going through this situation, that what you did, I think that's huge because a lot of dads, keep it balled up inside. They don't really talk about their situations. But just like you said, you're angry, go punch something, go punch a bag or whatever. If you're sad, go cry it out in the corner. You got to release all that anger, tension, sadness, all the emotions, and move forward. So,
Yes,
yeah,
definitely.
man. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate you sharing your story, man.
Not a problem. I appreciate you having me, my man.
Awesome.